The Taylor Bowl, a couple of screen/podcasts. Gemini is here, but not for me, unfortunately. A bit about UConn women's basketball, and the usual collection of tweets, toots, and skeets. Welcome to Tales from the Jar Side. Welcome to Tales from the Jar Side. My name is Ken Cousin. On this channel, I talk about the latest developments in IT, but to try to give you some understanding related to them, not just the technologies themselves. This, however, is my free weekly newsletter. The newsletter itself is hosted on Substack, as you can see here. But every Monday, I also produce the video version of it for people who want the backstory, the director's cut, or just have me walk through things in case you don't feel like reading it. All right, let's take a look. The first comment here, the subtitle says, I was once confronted by Dwayne Johnson outside a Hallmark store. There I was, caught between The Rock and a card place. Yeah, that's really bad. I got that from the Mastodon feed for Mostly Harmless, but I really liked it. So, as terrible as it is. Welcome, fellow jarheads, to Tales from the Jar Side, the Cousin IT newsletter for the week of, and I think I got the dates right this time, February 4th through 11th, 2024. This week I taught my 2-day functional Java course on the O'Reilly Learning Platform, as well as my regular Trinity course for undergraduates at Trinity College. Regular readers of and listeners to and video viewers of this newsletter are affectionately known as jarheads and are far more intelligent, sophisticated, and attractive than the average newsletter reader or viewer or listener. If you wish to become a jarhead, please subscribe using the button on the newsletter, or you can go to the YouTube channel and take a look there. Taking a glance at the YouTube channel, here is the YouTube channel, and we're up to a little over 1,260 subscribers now. The new parts this week is that I did an appearance on Greg Turnquist's Pro Coder Show. That was fun, and he set it up so that I could simultaneously screencast it on the Tales from the Jar Side channel as well. So that is a live stream, and it's on both of the channels in case you're interested. And the other new thing is that, which is not on here, is I did a screencast as well for a different channel. Why don't I show that in the actual newsletter? So let me close that. Okay, let's talk about the big news. This is not technical. Usually I start with a technical feature, but this week was more about the Super Bowl. But of course, I referred to it, like so many people, as the Taylor Bowl. Now, I'm wearing Patriots jersey today. This was in celebration of the Super Bowl, and I know the Patriots have now fallen on hard times, but if you're only a fan of them when they're good, what's the point, right? And besides, we did have 20 years, good run, and Tom Brady was in lots of the commercials, so oh well. So the most important issue was this one that was announced, that Taylor Swift is in Las Vegas. She made it. She's here. She's flown in from Tokyo, where she had a concert, to LAX and then to Vegas, and is expected to be at the game at a suite to be determined, whatever that means. So yeah, she made it. Now, I remember asking GPT-4, so here was my conversation with ChatGPT, said Taylor Swift has a concert in Tokyo Saturday night. Can she make it to the Super Bowl in Vegas by kickoff at 6 p.m.? And it went through a discussion about the time zone differences and the length of the flight and everything. And the conclusion at the bottom was, yes, it's feasible for her to perform in Tokyo on a Saturday night and make it to the Super Bowl in Vegas by 6 p.m. the next day. However, this would require careful scheduling and prompt transportation to ensure timely arrival. Given her value to the NFL, I have very little doubt that they would have sent one of the fighter jets that they use for the flyby to go pick her up on the way to make sure she arrived on time. But of course, the last thing Taylor Swift needs is any help from the NFL. She does what she wants, and good for her. I did like this comment that somebody put up, missing the point feed on Mastodon, said NFL announces that Sunday's Super Bowl pregame show will culminate in Taylor Swift skydiving from her arriving Japan flight to land on the field and oversee the coin toss. On the complicated logistics of ejecting a passenger mid-flight, Boeing says, we got this. Yeah, and I'm sure they do. It was an unusual Super Bowl for me because I really didn't care about either team. I have no positive or negative associations. I don't like the the racist overtones of the Chiefs. I certainly don't like them when they're chanting in the stands, but how do you not like Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and the whole team, frankly? It's just good, easy people to root for. Really enjoy that. But given that, I have nothing against the Niners either. And I really was rooting for Brock Purdy to have a big game. I mean, after all, he was Mr. Irrelevant. Here he's starting in the Super Bowl. You got to love that. So I just wanted a good game. And of course, that's exactly what we got. We got an incredible game. Went right down to the end with lots of calls. Normally, I would have spent a lot of today reading the commentary on everything and watching videos and stuff. But unfortunately, I had a class to teach all day. Now, unfortunately, I mean, that's a good thing, I suppose, but it means I'm a little behind on the commentary. I did like this little snippet here that somebody put up. I think I saw this in a couple different places. It said, I don't watch football, so I don't know who Taylor Swift is, but he sure sounds fast. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty good. This one was pretty clever. My understanding is that it's worth watching the Superb Owl, common hashtag there, for the halftime show where Taylor Swift's plane will land on the pitch. She will then emerge, declare herself to be a lesbian communist pregnant with a child who will be the reincarnation of Karl Marx, then declare her eternal loyalty to First Commissar Biden and begin the executions of the Trumpite revisionists. Then everyone will go back to watching the slow motion rugby. I have no idea where to go with that, but I thought it was amusing. So what the heck? Then, of course, this was pointing out that, I said it was worth watching the halftime show just in case. And this comment was, so I heard Taylor Swift's boyfriend is playing at the Usher concert this weekend. Now, I'm the wrong generation to watch an Usher concert. I could tell even at my age that he did an outstanding job and that he had a lot of really good guests and they all performed well. So I thought it was really, really good. I have to admit, I only recognized maybe one or two of the songs, but I mean, I wasn't up with popular music even when I should have been up with popular music or at ages where you would have assumed I would be. Nobody should be taking my music recommendations on anything. So I'll just leave it at that. But I thought it was well done. I enjoyed it. And I knew she wouldn't upstage Usher or anything like that. Okay. Then there was, of course, the comment, I like the kids hovering in the back, terrified of the little bunny rabbit, the conservative politicians and the alpha male football fans all afraid of Taylor Swift. I mean, she tries to get people to vote, and that doesn't work in their mental model. She's also a strong, powerful, independent woman who makes her own way and refuses to let men steal credit for her accomplishments. I mean, what's not to like? I mean, that's really great. Besides, she and Kelsey are adorable. So I'm really rooting for them. So at any rate, they didn't do anything, which is great. And I'm glad. They did show her occasionally and then showed her a lot in the aftermath, and wonderful, we had our Super Bowl party, as we always have been doing ever since the mid-90s, I think, other than the pandemic and 1 year where my wife was under the weather, so we didn't have anybody over. That turned out to be the big Patriots comeback from 28-3 down to Atlanta. So interesting. I mean, I watched it, but she wasn't feeling well. We don't generally watch the Super Bowl at my house. I mean, I'm watching it, but most of the other people are just having conversations and watching it when they happen to be looking that direction. But this was one of those Super Bowls that once they got past the boring part, really kicked into gear. The whole fourth quarter and overtime, you're on the edge of your seat. So it's pretty amazing. This little snippet here was, as expected, from one of the commercials. Patrick Stewart in an old-style football uniform with Sir Patrick on it. Of course, the things that jumped out at me is, first of all, that he's number one when, of course, Riker should be number one, right? Where's my rim shot? And the old helmet has got to be the only reasonable explanation for the disastrous Star Trek Picard season. My wife and I are currently rewatching Star Trek Strange New World Season 2 again, which is phenomenal. I mean, I really love that. But the Picard season, the whole series, I've decided simply never happened. I mean, the Next Generation reunion that was the third season, it was okay. I didn't care. I didn't care about it. I kind of was curious about them, but it was all such fan service. It all seemed fair. It just felt very contrived and awkward. And the first two seasons were a complete disaster. So, I'm just assuming that that whole show never really happened. Okay, now let's move on. Let's talk about Gemini. here in the browser, you can now go to gemini.google.com. There is no Bard anymore. And this is what you see. And I've used it off and on, and it's kind of nice. And I like the mobile app. The mobile app is really a nice improvement. But there's no link up here to change Gemini versions or anything like that because, of course, I am logged in on my business account. I've had a business account at Google since I created Cousin IT, which was back in 2005, actually. So this will be 19 years when I've been in business, and it's always been a Google account. And for some reason, when Google releases things, they don't release it to the business account. They go to the personal accounts first. If I switch over to my Gmail account, my regular personal account, then I can go under the Gemini menu and I could upgrade if I wanted to and pay the $20 a month or whatever that they want. But why would I want to do that? I mean, the whole point of Gemini is that it's going to have great access to your Gmail and to your Google Docs and all your other Google materials. And I use tons of that stuff. And I want access to that. That's what I need. I'm certainly not paying $20 a month twice. So I'm going to just wait for a little while. And if they do enable it for business accounts, I'll probably rationalize that I have to jump in. But for the moment, I'm just annoyed. So I haven't upgraded, even though you get 2 months free. I'm waiting on it. Now, I also have a YouTube video on accessing the Gemini API. I made that last month so that I could contact like Gemini Pro and not, of course, Gemini Ultra wasn't available. So I have a little test in my workspace for that where I get the models and create a stream and go down to the model name and filter for just the word Gemini and print them. And right now it's still returning just Gemini Pro and Gemini Pro Vision. In other words, Gemini Ultra is not yet available through the API either. So I don't know what it's going to take. I don't know how long we're going to have to wait on this, but we'll see. So, at any rate, I'm annoyed. I did go in the new Android app, though, because the Android app has another thing it has is nice YouTube integration. So I asked it about my Tales from the Jar Side YouTube channel, because why not? And I said, is it successful? And of course, it hemmed and hawed to find many measures of success. So I said, does it help your estimate, or did it help if I tell you that the channel started at the beginning of 2023 and currently has about 1,400 watch hours? Because I have about 1260, I guess. So yeah, we saw that already, subscribers. And it said, oh yes, with that additional information, it's possible for Tales from the Jar Side to reach monetization within the next few months. So they talk about the requirements and think that it'll happen within 2 to 3 months by consistently creating high quality content, optimizing videos for search, and actively promoting the channel. The creator can potentially accelerate monetization. Current video accepted? I don't know. So I think that's rather optimistic, to be honest. And if all I cared about was monetization and making, $20 for every 1,000 views or something, yeah, I don't know. I have no idea what it's going to make. I'm just enjoying the process right now, and thus I've made this video. I am hoping to make another video this week, still talking about the Olama framework, because I'm enjoying that. And they've added some neat stuff to it that I didn't talk about last time. So we'll see. So I guess, as I say, I'll have to start creating some high quality content, right? And promoting the channel. So we'll see. Okay, now screencasts and podcasts. So I mentioned that I was a guest on Greg Turnquist's Pro Coder show. He was a long-term Spring manager and developer. He was the head of the Spring Data project for a good long while, and now he's more independent. But I was able to join him for his show where he talks about, well, how to become a pro coder. And there's the link to his channel, just in case you want to see, just to show you there. And here it is. It's called Pro Coder, Learn How to Become a Pro Coder. And there's his, he extracted the conversational part of ours and published that separately. And he also extracts the advice he gives at the beginning and makes up videos for that, and there's shorts and everything. And as you can see, he's got over 9,000 subscribers, so he's doing rather well with that. Okay, so that was one. And the other thing I did is, this happened to me a couple months ago, but it took a while for this to get published. The Stacked podcast, STACKD, published a tweet this week that said, yeah, here's our going for a walk, drive, or run this weekend. take podcast, apparently screencast number 69, Tales from Ken's Side with you. And that's Keto Man, and I forget his name, and oh, it's on here. Well, I can bring that up a bit larger there and see that is, I still can't read it. It's too blurry. But at any rate, there's Dan Itohosa, and I've known Dan and Keto for years. So that was fun. Now, what you can't tell from this is that the video itself is nearly 2 hours long. I mean, we just got going and talked about everything under the sun. So that was really fun. I did put a link to it if you want to see, but I'll leave it at that for this point. On an unrelated note, this popped up. I don't go to Twitter very often. I just periodically check to see what's going on. I'm still annoyed at the cesspool that it has become. But this showed up, said most recommended books, Kotlin cookbook. Of my book is on our list of best Kotlin books, which, okay, that seemed a bit of a stretch for me. But I clicked on the linked page just to see, and oh, now they've got 8 best Kotlin books of all time. By typing best Kotlin books in a search engine, look at the top 5 or more pages, add only the books mentioned more than twice, and rank them. And it doesn't show the actual numbers, but it does show the ranking. So there's Kotlin in action, which, well, it better be. Head first Kotlin, which, yeah, I agree with that too. I did I think I'm on the back cover of that one, talking about that. That's by the Griffiths, Dawn and Dave Griffiths. They did a great job with that. They also wrote the Head First Android Programming Head First book, so that's really good too. This is the Big Nerd Ranch Guide to Kotlin Programming, and that one I've used in training classes occasionally for them and also elsewhere. So that's pretty good. The company used to be called Big Nerd Ranch, and they were acquired by another company whose name I forget, but that's who runs the training business now. This Joy of Kotlin I've heard about for years, but never actually read. And sitting down here at number 5 is good old Kotlin cookbook. What's amazing to me, it says appears in 3 articles. So that's 5, 5, 4. I just noticed that. So 3. And oh, I thought I was ahead of Venkat when we're tied here. But they did put me at 5 in Venkat's book, Venkat Subramaniam, of course, his programming Kotlin book at 6. So, hey, I'm going to take it. Take the wins where you could find them. This book's getting pretty dated. I don't know if he's going to come up with a more updated one for that. And this is a packed book that I don't know anything about. So at any rate, there's your list if you're curious. And, if you're welcome, if you're interested in the Kotlin cookbook, great. As I said here, the fact that I'm ahead of Venkat may be further evidence that the ranking is somewhat questionable, but come on, let me have this. Another talk I gave this week, and I didn't have any pictures on it, is that I gave a talk at the Computer Science Club at Trinity College. That's their local student chapter of the Association of Computer Machinery, the ACM chapter. So I talked about the video I did last week on uncensored Java AI, running AI models using Ollama and Spring AI. But that allowed me to show some things like the Ollama Web UI project. If you look at this is the Web UI project. And when you start it up, it shows a user interface that looks like ChatGPT. And you can run this and choose a model and run it that way. And there's all kinds of nice stuff you could do with it. There's also this Ollama Hub project, which is also affiliated, where you could download, various customized prompts is really all this is. If I looked at the let's see, how about Mid-Journey prompt generator, something like that, then you see that it gives you the model file. And this is very much like making a custom GPT in the OpenAI world. You just set up a custom prompt here. What this doesn't allow you to do, unfortunately, is to add your own data in. There's no simple way to do that. So this is just a custom prompt. And okay, that's nice and good and kind of interesting. And I'm probably hoping to make a video on that, or on the rest of these other Ollama features this week. We'll see if I get to that. Okay, next section. UConn women's basketball. Now, I have never been to a UConn women's game, at least not until this week. I will, by way of introduction, speaking of sports ball, as I said, like everyone else in Connecticut, we're long-term fans of the UConn women. The men, again, here's a picture I took from Google Maps. So magnifying that a little bit, you could see that Connecticut is split more or less east and west by this highway, Route 91, and that actually follows the Connecticut River. So New Haven down here, Springfield, Mass up here, Rhode Island to this direction, and ultimately Boston. New York City is down here. So our state is split roughly into the New York influenced areas and the Boston influenced areas. And on the Boston side, you get Patriots fans and Red Sox fans. And on the New York influenced side, you get Yankees fans and Giants fans, with a few Mets fans and Jets fans scattered around that nobody cares about. But it's a big deal for those of us who cared about one team or the other. And I used to say, as a result, that we were on the front lines of Red Sox Nation, because it's easy to be a Red Sox fan in Boston. Everybody is. But in Connecticut, you go into a department store and the display will have half Yankee shirts and half Red Sox shirts. And how do you knock over half a display? It's not that easy, But honestly, my enthusiasm for the Red Sox, despite the fact I've followed them for decades and am really happy at their championships they've won, they gave away Mookie Betts for nothing. I mean, really, effectively for nothing, because they wanted to save money. And there's no reason Boston Red Sox owners should care about saving money. I mean, that's the best player they had arguably since Babe Ruth himself, and they just let him go. I mean, I'm still mad about it. He was a legitimate MVP candidate last year again for the Dodgers, and I still root for him. It wasn't his fault, but after all, it's just ridiculous. So I'm not that excited anymore. But the point is that our state is separated on everything between Boston and New York. So the one big exception is UConn women's basketball, because while the men are good periodically, like this year, out of nowhere, they're number one ranked. We'll see if that carries through. I don't know. I'll watch the tournament. But the women for 20 years were a juggernaut. They were just incredible. They had back-to-back championships and undefeated seasons twice. It was just incredible. I mentioned my favorite team was the 2001-2002 version. They started 4 seniors and a sophomore. Of course, that top 5 didn't play long because they would destroy everybody and blow them out, and then they'd put in the subs, Of course, the scrubs would roll too. That team went 39-0 and was never seriously challenged all year long. Even in the title game, it was a mild upset that they only won by 12. I mean, it was amazing. And in the WNBA draft that year, Sue Bird went, everybody knew she was going to go number 1. Swin Cash went number 2. Asia Jones went 4, and Tamika Williams went 6. So that's 4 players in the top 6 draft picks in the first round. And the sophomore, of course, was the basically immortal Diana Taurasi, who's had a over 20-year career in the WNBA now and is widely recognized as one of the best players ever. Yeah, that's a fun team. Now, the UConn women have won lots of titles. The last one was in 2016. That was Breanna Stewart's year. She was her senior year. She's another brilliant player for the Huskies. So we never actually got to see him in person. We went to Gamble Pavilion once and saw a video broadcast of the men in the tournament. That's a whole nother story. But we'd never gone to see the actual game. And my wife got tickets with a church group for the Hartford Civic Center, where they were going to be playing this last Wednesday. So there's I guess they call it the XL Center now. Here's a picture showing this at about half an hour before the tip-off. It doesn't look like it's all that full, but believe me, it filled up a lot better, although not totally, because, again, they're not good this year. They're okay, And we were sitting on the wrong side and way, way up in the nosebleed section. But, hey, we had fun. And they won, but only because the team they were playing was not very good. And then yesterday, before the Super Bowl, they played top-ranked South Carolina and got crushed. They lost by 20, and it wasn't really that close. But, okay, so be it. Let's do our tweets and toots. This was funny. Date saying, "You don't look anything like your profile picture. Incredible Hulk is the bus was late." Yeah, well, don't make him angry. You wouldn't like him when he's angry. This one from Mostly Harmless said, "I feel bad for Schrodinger's cat, but at the same time, I don't." Yeah, I need a rim shot there. This one I labeled Fear and Loathing in Mordor. This post was an image that was inside another tweet So I don't know who Paper Rose Doodles is, but it said, honestly, Frodo's journey is so wild. Like, imagine your uncle goes missing after his birthday party, and his old stoner friend from out of town tells you the souvenir he brought back from a Vegas trip 80 years ago is actually Satan's mood ring. And now zombie assassins are coming to burn down your town unless you and your lawn guy meet up with a medieval hosier in a dark gastropub. The response being, this is the funniest synopsis of Lord of the Rings I've ever seen. And yeah, there's a lot to that. That's a good one. Control Freak says, what? So this says, question, knock, knock, answer. Who's there? Question, Control Freak. Question, now you say, Control Freak who? Yeah. Uh-huh. I have some people that, even some family members, I did not want to show this to, but they, Control Freaks never recognize themselves, so I'm probably safe there. This one was a definition of Fibonaccios. Fibonacci is the Fibonacci of a nacho is the Fibonacci of the nacho minus 1 plus the Fibonacci of nacho minus 2. And there you see it. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. Helps if you don't think about it too hard. This I labeled being from the Q continuum. Need a rim shot for that. The word Q is ironic. It's just a Q, the letter Q, with a bunch of silent letters waiting in a line. I always like the fact, I meant to put it in here, the word queuing, as in queuing theory. Queuing is the only word in the English language that has 6 consecutive vowels. So here you see, actually 5 consecutive vowels. So Q-U-E-U-E-I, in queuing theory. That's 5 consecutive vowels, and that's the only one apparently in English that does that. Of course, if I'm wrong, feel free to let me know. But I've been telling that story for a long time. Last week I had that image of the Apple Vision Pro that's been making the rounds, where the distracted boyfriend had on an Apple Vision Pro headset and there was no other girl he was looking at. And then somebody said, yeah, we could take this another step. And you see now it's the girlfriend who's got the Apple Vision Pro, and neither of the other players are there. So there you go. I thought that was good. And finally, this awful, awful dad joke, which is great. It said, this is wrong on so many levels. And you see, these are all levels with tape with the word wrong on them. Oh, my goodness. Well, there you go. I hope you enjoyed that. It was a fun week and a lot of this stuff. This week I've got my functional Java course on the O'Reilly Learning Platform, and actually that was last week, pardon me. I did today was my deep dive into Spring, the Tftjs virtual workshops. That was all day long. I've got a modern Java functional programming course tomorrow and my regular Trinity College class. I guess I forgot to add that in there, but that's pretty much everything. So I hope you enjoy it, and please subscribe so you won't miss any of the upcoming videos, especially on AI and Java related topics. And I will see you in the next one. Let's cue that theme song.
Hey there, devs, it's time to tune in to Tales from the Jar, so let's begin. Java, Kotlin, and Spring, oh my. Groovy, Gradle, don't be shy. Tales from the Jar side, oh yeah. Crack open the code, let's take a ride. From design patterns to the latest trends, your weekly tech toast that never ends.